Hey guys, Mark here again with another YouTube cinematography guide. In part 3, we're going to be going over some basic lighting setups. I'll be telling you what equipment I use for my YouTube videos, I'll give you some cheap alternatives, and I'll show you exactly how to use them to make your footage look great. Before we get into the equipment we need, let's first talk about lighting theory. The most basic and standard lighting setup you can use is called a 3-point lighting setup. This setup's been used for many years and is common in both photography and cinematography. I usually use it in the field for interviews, or talking heads as they're called in the industry. This is what it looks like. For a 3-point lighting setup, you need 3 lights. Duh. A key light, a fill light, and a backlight. The key light's your brightest light. It's what's going to create some definition on the subject's face. Usually I'll place a key light on a 45-degree angle to the camera. This will define the face and add interesting shadows. The problem with this is that it adds too much shadow. To counter those, we'll add a fill light. I place the fill light 90 degrees to the key light or 45 degrees to the opposite side of the camera. The fill light isn't as bright as the key light, so there are still some shadows that add interest. Finally, we have the backlight. The backlight's used to separate your subject from the background. The backlight is placed on an angle on one side of the camera and it shines on your shoulders and head of the subject. And that's a 3-point lighting setup. It's pretty simple and it works well for anything from talking heads to narratives. But what about YouTube videos? As it turns out, I use a modified version of this setup for my own YouTube videos. Here's what my setup looks like. Instead of one backlight, I use 2 practicals instead. I still use 2 lights at the front lighting myself, but there's a difference there. Instead of a key and a fill, I basically have 2 key lights at the exact same brightness. This results in a very high key look with few shadows. The reason I do this is simple. It looks clean. My channel is based around cinematography intensive tech videos, and therefore I want my lighting to reflect that. Feel free to experiment with your own lighting to find something that you like. Keep in mind that cinematography is subjective, and what works for me may not work for you. Equipment time. For my setup, I use 2 Dracast LED 500 panels. These LED panels are bicolor, meaning I can change the color temperature of these lights to whatever I want. For my setup, I like using a daylight color temperature of 5600K. I explained color temperature in part 1 of the YouTube cinematography guide, so if you're unfamiliar with the term, you'll want to go watch that video now. These Dracast panels will run you about $250 each, so they're not the cheapest light, but they're definitely not the most expensive either. The thing about these panels are that they tend to produce a very sharp light. This results in hard shadows that are unflattering to a subject. It's nice if you're going for that look in a narrative short film or something, but it's not what we want for YouTube. To soften them, you can use a roll of diffusion paper or even a thin white blanket, provided the lights that you're using don't run hot. An alternative to these panels are softboxes. They're cheap, soft, and bright. Just be aware that they're huge, run only on household power, only have 1 color temperature, and may not have the best color rendition. I used to use softboxes for a long time, but they very quickly got annoying to carry around, and the setup time takes about 5 minutes per softbox. Hardly ideal. If your budget's even lower than the $100 you'd spend on a softbox kit, here's another idea. Home improvement stores are your best friend. Things like can lights can be a lifesaver in any filming location. I keep several of them on hand for every shoot. They're great for sticking in small places that other lights won't fit in. You can put whatever bulbs you like in them, and the aluminum dish spreads light forward without any spill on what the light isn't pointed at. Can lights run about $10 each. Pick up 3, and then get a few nice tungsten floodlights for plenty of power. The other reason for buying tungsten lights is that they have great color rendition. Cheap CFL and LED bulbs tend to have awful color reproduction, so don't buy those unless they're intended for video work. You can clamp these cam lights on chairs, the ceiling, or pretty much anywhere you can think of. The problem is that if you're using tungsten bulbs, they burn hot. You can diffuse with a white bed sheet, but you'll have to move it away from the light to avoid burning your house down. You'll also have to set your camera to a white balance of 3200K. More on that in the first part of the YouTube cinematography guide. For the rear practicals, these are just lamps from Walmart with Philips Hue lights in them. Change the color of the bulbs depending on a few factors like the color of my shirt or the nature of the video I'm talking about. And that's the setup I use for the majority of the YouTube videos that I shoot. Keep in mind that this setup can be also used on objects. 3-point lighting setups are very versatile and can be used in a number of different ways to suit your situation. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to show your support, and if you didn't, let me know why in a comment below. I love hearing your feedback. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.